Today on the Quarter Hour Podcast, we're heading west to meet a much-loved and most listened to show across all of Western Australia. Pete and Kymba host the Brekkie Show on Perth's Mix 94.5 and are the most listened to radio show in WA.
At the Taylor Swift Sip and Sing, it's 7:40 on the Pete and Kymba Show in front of 250 screaming Taylor Swift fans. We're all dressed in our different eras, costumes.
We've seen your costume. I'm more worried about a slip and swing.
Slip and swing.
I just feel like all the bits could fall out.
I think you're giving me too much credit with the swing part.
Hey guys, welcome to the Quarter Hour Podcast.
Thanks so much for having us.
Hi, Liam. What a pleasure it is to be here, mate. Thank you.
How does it feel when we say out loud WA's most listened to radio show?
Oh, it feels pretty special.
It does feel very special. Whenever I hear WA's most listened to radio show, it's funny, in my mind I can see a little asterisk sort of to the top and the right of that. And the reason being is, I mean, like the numbers don't lie. Like we go through Perth and right around WA. So from a technical standpoint, yes, we are. We're statewide. Through Perth, we've got a little bit of chasing down to do with Nova.
I think I like the sound of just saying, it's not even that we're the most listened to around WA, it's just the fact that we are around WA.
Yeah.
Like Pete and I, just a couple of kids from Perth who born and bred here and grew up here, and we, you know, to be able to broadcast in our own home city was awesome, but to be able to do it in our state has become, you know, something pretty awesome for both of us.
It's very special.
Yeah. You guys have both done a bit of work on the East Coast, and anyone that has worked on the eastern side of the country knows that Perth is a parochial market. Describe it to me. I mean, is it different to other markets?
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
We speak our own language here, right? And that's not to say that...
not to be exclusive.
Yeah, it's not exclusive. It's just you know Perthisms, and you know that they branch out to all of WA. There is absolutely, without a doubt, a language here that is spoken versus speaking in the eastern states.
I think one of the biggest things that I noticed were for things like, if we had like a Cirque du Soleil show opening in Perth, for example, we would all go along and we'd just be in like jeans and our sparkly going out shirts, right? Like we're pretty laid back sort of people.
Yeah.
When I went to Sydney, I was ill prepared for a full red carpet experience with all of these people stepping out like they're the biggest stars in the world. It could have been a red carpet for a major, you know, Grammys or Oscar event. The way that everyone conducted themselves as, I am a celebrity and I am here and I am ready for the show. And it felt quite far removed from how I felt about myself in that role in Perth.
Yeah.
Talk to me about Perth Radio. When I say Perth Radio royalty, what names spring to mind for you guys?
So Steve Mummery is one of them, who's the former content director of Mix 94.5, which is on our station. So for me, anybody ever says, though, Perth Radio royalty, the immediate name is Fred Boddicker.
It's Fred Boddicker. It's Dean Clares.
Yes,
it's
Claresy.
Lisa Shaw.
Yeah,
There's people that have been in the industry for a very long time.
Yeah, and for them, they've got that longevity. I kind of feel like they were revered in the time when radio was so revered.
Yeah,
as well, and I think that's what helped. I mean, we're just in such a different digital first age now that I don't know if we'll ever have that kind of reveredness, if that's the word, ever again. But
I think it's, you grow up with them. I think that people who know us now, who will come to us and say, oh, here's a photo of you with my daughter, who she met you this many years ago at this event, and they'll show a photo and they're like, and my daughter drove me here today. And I'll go, oh my God, and we're still in it. And I think that it's maybe because we are a bit parochial, maybe because we are that little bit, once we trust someone and invite them into our homes and our cars and our, we want to know them and we feel like we have that respect for them. And so we're never ready for someone new.
We don't like to move on quickly here.
No.
Like we rust on. Like, it was Boddicker's Bunch, and then it was The Couch.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Big Couch moved into Breakfast. And then Nathan, Nat and Sean have enjoyed that same parochial sense of rusted on from its audience for the last 10 years. And, you sort of hope that we're putting together a show that people are enjoying enough that when the wheel's ready to turn on the next one, which, Perth eventually does, that we're next in line. You know what I mean? And we've earned that spot through the hard work that we've put into this show.
You guys had Ben Cousins on your show for a long time. What's it like working with a firebrand? Like, lightning in a bottle, the whole state knows who he is. What's that like?
It came with all of its own challenges as well, right? Like, Ben was thrust into the role at the same rate that we were also like, oh, hi, Ben, welcome. He was already advertised all over our show before we had even met with him personally to say, oh, congrats on getting the gig.
Yeah.
So it came with challenges in that we had to train Ben, because he's just come as himself. But I think that radio might be one of those things people look at and think anyone can do it. But then when you're in the role, you actually realise, oh, there's quite a skill to it.
And then also being pulled left, right and centre. Like, mate, the guy had everything thrown at him at the time, so we sort of jumped on. And
we had a lot of fun. Like, it was definitely, personally, we all get along really well. So the three of us can chat easily off air. It didn't always translate to on air.
Yeah.
Sometimes we found that bit a bit more challenging, but together we get along fine and we had fun. And it was interesting to hear that dynamic change when you go out into the community. And we get a lot of love. People are very sweet to us, and we've got amazing listeners. And so many of them go, oh, I love you and Pete, or I love. And because I think we gained a lot of listeners perhaps that weren't necessarily here for our show, but we're here for Ben.
Yeah.
And then trying to fold them into our show and be like trying to get them interested in a way that they were coming for different reasons, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to think that they did get in there and then they enjoyed what they heard, so they stuck around. Certainly feels that way, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You guys are obviously seasoned pros. You know what you're doing. How do you prep a show? Do you run your ideas past each other? What's your prep styles like?
Pete's not allowed to go rogue anymore. Pete would come in sometimes and go, I've got this idea. I'm not going to tell you guys what it is. I'm not going to tell the producers. I'm not going to tell Kymba because I just think, Kymba, you'll just roll with it. And he knows I will. What we love about our show and we love about our relationship is that we never hang each other out to dry.
No, it's...
we always support each other. And I think that both of us come in with the perspective of make the other one shine.
Yeah, it's love and trust here between the two of us.
We plan our show based on what we think everyone's interested in. We run in pretty different circles, which is great because we cover a lot of bases.
Yeah.
And we can sort of go, hey, this is what my friends are talking about at the moment. This is what I think is impacting people. This is what we think we should do. And particularly if we'll even go, hey, the world feels a bit heavy. Do you want to talk about it? Nah. Do you want to talk about it? Nah. Let's do a world record challenge where we pop balloons with our butts.
Yeah.
Love it.
I think that we plan the show based around what kind of show we would want to listen to.
We've built our show around a lot of fun. We know it's a bloody hard place where you are constantly bombarded by the harsh news of the day. And we like to feel like our show is a great opportunity for our listeners to escape. And certainly the feedback is coming through thick and heavy that they are on board with that.
In saying that though, Pete, I would also say, like, we're not afraid to talk about difficult conversations.
Yeah.
There have been many many program directors or content directors in the past who will say, "Oh, I don't want you to talk about that, Kymba, because it's not really what people want to hear on the way to work." And for me in particular, I'll do a lot of domestic violence, anti-domestic violence advocacy. And people don't want to hear that stuff. But in my world, I go, this is real. This stuff is happening. And Pete and I have the capacity and the voice to do that and the platform to do that. And I think that it would be irresponsible if we didn't use it.
I mean, I am always on this show backing in, Kymba being able to talk about that sort of stuff. And because I think it's important. I'm very honest about the fact that I've learnt so much as a bloke from being in here with Kymba. So for me,
changing the world one bloke at a time.
No, but for me, it's been such an incredible opportunity to grow. To grow and actually get a much broader view of the world and understand it through a woman's eyes and so many other things. And I think, look, considering that we are a radio station where women can come here and feel very safe and very empowered, and particularly with this show, it's been a real strength of ours, through Kymba and then through me being able to support it in that way, to be able to bring those people in along that line.
I think a lot of it's driven by passion. I think that's probably where most of our planning and our interest comes from. It's just that passion of going, we want to hear, like Pete and I were excited about radio. We talk about when, you know, the local radio station used to come to your school when you're a kid and give you a sticker and you give you a choc milk or something. But that was exciting for us. We loved that. We want to have that feeling about radio that we had when we were consumers.
Yeah.
And so we love that everyone in our team feels that way. So bringing that passion and just trying to be excited about radio in an industry where, you know, it gets decimated.
Yeah.
And also you're more limited than you've ever been before with what you can say and who you're going to offend and what you're going to, you know, there's so many codes and regulations around it that trying to bring back that fun that people might have gotten away with many years ago, doing crazy calls or doing all the things that aren't allowed now.
You guys broadcast from Perth, but to the state. Does that affect your thinking when you're on the air? Like, are you trying to avoid localism or mentioning Perth suburbs? How does that sort of impact what you do when you broadcast?
I think our rule has been, if the content is good enough content, then it doesn't really matter if we're speaking to old mate from Queen's Park or not. Like, and we've had to evolve our thinking in that regard.
Oh, it was a big shift. I mean, they certainly the time very local. So we were Perth as much as we could, and then they went, hey, no references. So we dropped suburbs from callers' names when you used to go, hey, it's so and so, and we're crossing over to Canning Vale. We're not saying that now, but I don't think it took long for us to get the thinking that we were WA wide. As soon as we broadened out the show, we started getting these regional callers who are incredible storytellers. They're amazing because that's what they do. They sit around in their communities and they have a chat. They all know how to tell a good story. They can have a yarn. And so they were calling our show with these epic stories. And I think that we just fell in love with them instantly. And I think that was part of it. So I think that our thinking is always broad because I just see the whole state as one big group of people at our barbecue now.
Yeah.
Rather than where they're placed.
Yeah.
Pete and Kymba, what's the hardest thing about the job? What do you struggle with?
You know, I'm going on 23 years, and I've been a part of plenty of iterations in breakfast radio, and I've had tough times and tough teams. And I could easily come up with a list of 100 things to tell you about what's the hardest thing about my job. It is such a privileged and blessed position to be in to find that a very hard question to answer. I think that the best, actually, you know what, to give you a real indication of how this is going, the hardest thing I find about my job at the moment is making sure that we're coming up with great arcs and ideas to maintain the momentum and the energy that we're feeling from the audience at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had a big strategy day yesterday about what are we going to do for the second half of the year. And because we've already built this incredible first half of the year and this feeling that we've got, unsolicited feedback from people just out in the street who are coming up to us wanting to talk about the things that we're doing, we're like, how do we keep that feeling going? How do we keep these people engaged and invested? And so that's the hardest challenge.
Can I be? I don't know how honest I'm allowed to be on this, but if I'm perfectly frank, I think the hardest thing that I deal with in this job is accepting the feedback from people who are not in our market.
Oh yeah.
So
okay,
we have, as any commercial radio station would, that you have a polite way of saying interference from outside people or managers or people who feel that they have a good idea of our market and try and implement something to us that might have worked somewhere else and assume that it will just plan out the way that they want it to go. And I find it hard to stomach a lot of that. Some of that is like feel like I naturally have pushed back against because we feel so tightly connected to our community that I can feel a little bit defensive about
it's
taking
an
on those ideas.
Yeah, it is an ownership over...
And I know that doesn't sound professional to say so, but
it's not.
For me, it's my truth.
But I don't think it doesn't sound professional to say. I think without being pretentious about it or anything like that, you would hope that people put you into these positions in such a vulnerable and personal medium to trust by now that you can do the job. And we have great help. We have great support. And we do enjoy the feedback. We enjoy hearing what people have to say about our show. But one of the things that has been probably the best thing in recent times is that there's a team built around us that allows us the autonomy to execute in the way that we feel Western Australians deserve to be executed to, right? It's taken a long time and it's taken a lot of fights and a lot of arguments and a lot of the numbers finally starting to go our way. And I think, look, anyone who's been around long enough and the numbers do start going your way will probably tell you that they have had the same story or a similar story. But it is nice to be in a position now where they go, let's support and build around this team and do what we need to do to let them shine and let them take the wheel. Because that's what we're here to do,
What advice can you give to someone about surviving cutthroat brekkie radio?
For me in particular, because this has been my personal journey, take the losses as an opportunity to enhance your own career and learn from, but be prepared to evolve. That's been my biggest thing over the years. 20 years of doing this, so many failed shows, so many failed iterations of my career as an announcer. 12 months in Canberra where I did 6 months on breakfast and spent most mornings in the car crying at, 4:45 before walking in and swallowing that and, have to get in there and just only to go home and feel like a failure every day. Yeah, get ready to evolve because there's so many evolutions that have come and there's so many evolutions still to come. You're always learning something.
I think mine is probably, as cliche as it sounds, is to be yourself. I know that I'm in this role because of the person that I am, and that's not for everybody, and that's okay. But, I remember when I first started in radio, I was filling in for somebody. I got my chance at breakfast, which was just awesome, and I was getting a couple of weeks just to have a go. And I was put in compromising positions in terms of them saying, oh, look, your co-host is going to talk about going on a boys' trip and you have to give your opinion on it. And I go, okay, cool. And they go, but your opinion has to be that you don't want him to go because he has to stay home with his girlfriend. And I'll be like, but I don't believe that and that's not what I think. And they go, yeah, but you're representing all the women and that's what women think and you need to be on their side. So that's how we're going to... And so I got about 2 weeks into this job at this other station going, none of this, I don't even know what I've lied about at this point. You know what I mean? You're barely, I'm not enjoying the job if I'm just being a talking head to represent what you think I should be. If I'm not that right person, go and get that person. If you want the girl who doesn't want the guy to go on his trip, find that chick.
Yeah.
Because I'm not that person. So I think that, for me, I've been myself. That hasn't always been a win, but I don't know any different. And I feel like having been here this long, I think that's the reason that I've had longevity in it.
Yeah. It is hard to be authentic when you just can't be.
Yeah, if you're just not the right fit.
Yeah.
Well, Pete and Kymba, very nice to get to know you both a little better. Congratulations on being the most listened to show in Western Australia. And thanks for joining us on the Quarter Hour podcast.
Oh, thanks so much, Liam.